the Royal Naval game of UCKERS. The aim of this video is to provide the terminology used in the Royal Naval game of UCKERS. It is for those who are playing, those who haven't played for a while, and those who are thinking of taking up the game. As you can see, the board is very similar to that of a Ludo board, although Ludo is a swear word in the game of UCKERS. The dice and the die. The game is played with 2 dice and 16 pieces in 4 different coloured bases. Each team of 2 players sit diagonally opposite each other and control 2 colours. 1 player of each team throws the dice and the highest score starts. If, when a player throws the dice, one of the dice lands against a piece at an angle, this is known as cocky die, and the throw is taken again. In this section I'll cover snake eyes all out, snake eyes, base, piece, out piece, doorstep and home. The piece is an individual counter made traditionally from a broom handle. The base is the coloured square where all 4 pieces start the game. The doorstep is the coloured square outside of the base where all pieces come out to enter the game. Home is the area where all 4 pieces need to get to by coming out onto the doorstep, around the board in a clockwise manner, and ending up all of them in home to help win the game. When the dice are thrown, if there are 2 ones, this is known as snake eyes. If on the very first throw of each player snake eyes is thrown, they are able to declare snake eyes all out, and all 4 pieces come out onto the doorstep. You do not get another go, and play passes to the next player. Should only a 6 be thrown, a piece is brought out onto the doorstep and with the cry out piece, and is then moved the amount shown on the second dice in a clockwise direction. You continue to throw until you stop throwing 6s and the move then passes to the next player. I will now cover blob, challenge and get them off. A blob is 2 or more pieces of the same colour on the same square, and this prevents the opposing colours from passing, but it does allow your partner's colour to go over. The only way that the opposing colours can get past the blob is to challenge. To do this, a blob of 2 requires 3 6s, a blob of 3 requires 4 6s, and a blob of 4 requires 5 6s. To make the challenge, you need to be behind the blob. If 1 6 is thrown, the challenge is made once at the greens. If a second 6 is thrown, that would be twice at the greens. And if you're lucky enough to throw another 6 and get 3, that would be 3 times at the greens. Get them off. And in that case, the greens are returned to base and the challenging piece moves forward onto that square. After knocking off a blob, you do not get another go until your next valid turn. In this section we'll cover the blob, a mixie blob and a barber's pole. We already know that the blob is made of 2 or more pieces of the same colour and prevents the opposing colours passing. There will be occasions when the 2 opposing colours can end up on top of each other. This is known as a mixie blob. It does 2 things. It prevents the yellow from challenging or the red challenging, and it does mean they're treated as a single piece, which means if your partner's piece lands on top, it would knock them off, or if you land on top, it would knock them off, or your partner's pieces and your own can pass freely by. There can be a stage in the game when 2 or 3 pieces are in a mixie blob behind a blob, and this is referred to as a barber's pole and is a bit of an insult to your opposing team. You will hear the term meet. Now this is referred to when a single piece is on its own and vulnerable, liable from attack from behind by the opposition and a long way from the protection of a blob. Normally the word meet is used by the opposition to indicate that this is the position the piece is in, and really they do need to take it off. In the same way that the opposition can refer to a piece on its own as meat, as a team, when you see a piece that is vulnerable, our advice to each other as partners is to steam it or race it to try and get it into a position where it is safe. So a vulnerable piece to the opposition is meat, and a vulnerable piece to us needs to be steamed to get safe. The next section refers to sticky fingers and fingers. Sticky fingers is when the dice are rolled slowly off the fingers trying to get a 6. This is not allowed and the dice have to be picked up and thrown again. Fingers is when somebody has thrown a dice and before you can pick them up to throw again, the opposition's hand has come in to pick them up and you would shout, "Fingers!" A stand-up finish is a particularly flamboyant way of finishing the game. In this situation, the greens need a 2 and a 6 to get home and win the game. You can choose to throw the dice, stand up and walk away before seeing what the dice score. Impressive if it works, but you feel rather foolish having to walk back to the board and play again. Now, last but not least, we have 2 more terms. An 8-piece thrashing or dicking and upend. An 8-piece thrashing or dicking is the worst defeat an UCKERS player or an UCKERS team can suffer. It means your opponents have all their pieces in and you have still yet to get one piece home. Some poor sportsmen, realizing that this is about to happen, actually pick up the board and upend it. Most unsportsmanlike, and your name and the date goes on the back of the board. Some more general terms you may hear: timber shifting, daily mirror finish, 6-throwing bar steward, pretty to watch, barrackers and barracking. Timber shifting is the art of cheating without anybody knowing. If you surreptitiously move out a piece whilst going to take a throw, this is known as timber shifting, as the pieces are made of wood. Normally the opposition will point this out to you and the piece has to be moved back. A daily mirror finish is when a particular run of throws enables all your pieces or most of your partner's pieces to be put into an advantageous position and even finish off the game, worth a headline in a daily paper. Pretty to watch, again, is when a run of play moves your pieces some way to winning the game and is worth a mention. Barrackers are those who gather around the table, not actually playing, but they're there to give advice and pour scorn on the team that they're not supporting. Barracking is the art of that scorn. I'll now leave you with a long shot of all the terminology we have used during this small video. One piece of terminology I don't think I pointed out was a 6-throwing bar steward. This is somebody who seems particularly apt at throwing sixes. If you look on www.UCKERS.co.uk, this is a company who make boards to order. Also, there is an UCKERS app for 99p available from the Apple Store. This was developed by a serving naval officer and is tremendous value for money. More information about the rules and the game can be found at UCKERS and also at Wikipedia. Just dial up UCKERS. That's all from me. Snake Eyes, Roger out.